Welcome back. This is the Intel on eNCA. We continue our conversation with Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng, who is headed off to Bristol as visiting professor, establishing partnerships really between these top universities of the world, being UCT and the University of Bristol. So, Prof, I know that you can take and roll with the punches. So at this point, let me ask you for some accountability. You do leave at a point at which, in the last few months, there have been instances of controversy involving yourself, particularly the issues around the LGBTQIA community, where you ended up having to issue an apology, and we'll remember that there was that other incident where you hosted that talk with Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, which stirred some controversy. I'm not asking you to address specific incidents, but what you took out from those controversies and whether or not it has shaped your understanding of some of the issues and the concerns that were being raised.
All right. Thank you very much, Thulasizwe. Here's the thing. I am an ally of the LGBTQA+. Of course, Thulasizwe, we don't always talk about our sexual orientation or sexual preferences. I don't. All right? But hey, I'm human, right? I have them, and I'm not going to talk about them today. And the reason why I start with the statement that I'm an ally is very important. And I think allies always come from a good place. But when you're an ally, you also get to a point where you also recognize that the people that you are an ally to don't necessarily, they have no, it is not their business, actually, to understand where you're coming from. They are fighting a much bigger battle. And so you've got to understand that. So the fact that you are doing something, your intention of doing that thing are good. The fact that your intentions are 100% above board is irrelevant. You've got to understand the matter from the side of the people you say you are allied to. And that's the first thing about allyship, right? And when you understand from where they are coming from, you've got to subordinate any of your feelings, your ego, everything must be put aside, right? Now, when I did that, and here's the thing I want to say, we don't often talk about allyship. Okay, It's very easy to take the activist position, but we never talk about allyship. And I think it's about time we talk about allyship, whether it's between white women and black women, white people, black people, men and women. We've got to talk about it because allyship is important. That's how we're going to champion causes. But here's what made me give an apology. People think I was pressurized. I was told that I was going to be fired. Listen here. If anybody wants to fire me, they can go ahead and do that, and let's do it honestly, right? None of that happened. Nobody promised to fire me. Nobody forced me to give an apology. I gave an apology because I had conversations with people that I trust, people that I regard highly, and my sister, who is an MBA graduate of UCT and an HR professional and running her own business, said to me, Kgethi, let's put it this way. What would your reaction have been if you went onto Instagram and found two men talking about women, two men that you know that are not anti-women, they are pro-women and their advancement, and you find them on Instagram talking about women and discussing their private parts? What would you have said? And of course, he gave me examples of names of people I respect, who I know stand up for women and who I know have supported me. And wow, that was painful. I said to her, gosh, that would be unacceptable. And she said to me, why? Is it because what they're saying about your privates is wrong? And I said, actually, it's immaterial whether what they're saying is right or wrong. What's important is, how dare they? Who are they? Even though they support us, why should they do that? And he said to me, that's exactly how the LGBT are. That's exactly how trans people and intersex people felt. And that made my eyes wet. And I felt I've got to apologize. I've got to apologize without hedging, without any giving any explanation, because actually it is downright wrong, and that's where it comes from. And I hope people hear it. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not any kind of health professional. I'm not here to judge whether the information is wrong or right. But it is wrong to have an ally going that step further, even when they mean well.
Yeah,
That's
wow. Wow, I'm glad I asked you that, because, it's enriching the depths to which you went in answering and responding to that particular question. I then have to ask you about, the importance of empathy in some of the public discourse that we have, because from what you were saying, I'm picking up the whole idea of walking a mile in someone else's shoes, and empathy not to be confused with sympathy, but actually just for a moment pausing and walking a mile in someone else's shoes, be it on this conversation or other conversations. Do we have enough of that in the country, or could we do with more?
We could do with more, Thulasizwe. There's no doubt about it. It is so easy to criticize. In fact, in this age of social media, many people jump first to criticize, to find what's wrong, because apparently that gets them popular. Apparently that makes them a hero. We need more empathy. We need people to listen a bit more, to ask questions and understand before they judge. But these days we get people judging before they can ask questions, understand, listen further.
Yeah.
And so for me, it didn't matter that some people dragged me down, some people whose surgeries, for example, as I contributed to their the surgeries and the procedure, health procedure, it didn't matter. The point is, they were wronged. As to how they express their outrage is nobody's business. They have a right to be outraged, having seen what they saw.
Right.
Doing with
So before I run out of time, your passion for mathematics education, you are VC, and I don't know what the position entails in the full length of the detail, but I do imagine that much of what you're supposed to do has to do with running the institution, but you opted to continue to hold a teaching role. This says to me there's a particular passion for maths education. Where does it come from, and what gap do you see that is being plugged, that can be plugged by better mathematics education?
Thanks, Thulasizwe. I want to respond to that question, but I have to explain this other point of me choosing to be an academic. By the way, the job of a vice-chancellor is a 5-year job. After 5 years, one gets considered for a second term or not. But my job as a professor of mathematics education, that's my permanent appointment. So if I decided tomorrow I can't do this job anymore, it's too difficult, I don't want it, I just simply go to the faculty and take up the academic job. That's what it is. But I have the luxury of doing that because I've got an academic CV that allows me to be appointed in that position. If you don't, you just get appointed only as a VC. You don't have the academic position. And so that's what it is. And so even when my term ends as VC and I want to stay on, I don't want to go anywhere, I can go back to the faculty and be an academic, take up my permanent position. Now, I love mathematics and I'm glad that I have the opportunity to contribute to mathematics education in our country and our continent at this time when there's so much need. People say, is it because I was smart? Is it because whatever? Actually, it was a hiding place. Mathematics made sense. It made sense. The penny dropped whilst I was doing grade 10, and I held on to that. And it made me feel safe. It made me feel that I know that I'm going to pass when I do it, and so I felt I want to continue with it. Now, in our country, many young people are scared of mathematics. They are told that it's difficult. They are told that it's not for girls. They are told that black people don't succeed in it. And that's what's keeping me going with it, because I can explore questions that can help us make mathematics more accessible to the people on the margins, the more disadvantaged, who learn mathematics in a language that's not their own, and therefore they are seen as not capable, sometimes not because of the mathematics itself, but because of other things that enable the teaching and learning of mathematics. And I have focused on the relationship between language and mathematics teaching and learning, particularly in classrooms where children learn mathematics in a language that's not their own. And that's what's keeping me going in this path. And the path that I've selected of first understanding what's the problem, how does it manifest, and continuing to looking at, so what are the possible solutions? Many people don't do that. And I feel passionate to continue in this way because of this thing that I believe that there are possible solutions. We can explore them and start implementing them.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad we've had this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. The FAB academic, Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng, talking to us there. She's been our profile interview here on the Intel. You heard it for yourself, the experiences and the beliefs that she holds firm that inform the person that she is. She's headed for University of Bristol on a visiting professorship that will establish pathways and relationships between the two institutions, UCT and the University of Bristol.